If you've seen some of my older videos, then you will be very familiar with the janky phone deck profiles where it's all shaky and everything. But we're going to try to do the best with what we have. Today we're going to be doing kind of my first build of post-circuit break Paleozoics. I think it'll be decent for it being a tier 0 format with spirals, and there are a lot of ways to play the deck, so I wouldn't say this profile is the only way to play it by any means, and I'll continue testing it and seeing what works for me. But yeah, so let's put these out of the camera shot. And here we go. So our first card, of course, is going to be triple Swap Frog, followed by triple Dupe Frog. And of course, to Run and Toad and Assault is all super standard. This is our Frog engine. It helps us kind of grind through the game, gives us totally awesome access earlier without necessarily needing Paleozoics. So there is that. Also playing 2 Gumesial. I think it's just kind of a decent card. You know, it gets rid of opponents' threats really easily. It's just kind of the fail-safe in case you don't really have any other out to it. For example, if you run into Masterpiece. We are running 1 Maxi. It is at 1, and therefore we are playing 1. For spells, we are playing triple Pot of Desires. I am not playing Card of Demise. I personally prefer this card. You could knock it down to 2 if you really wanted to, but I've been liking 3. This is my 1 field wipe. I'm playing Raigeki. This is probably one of the first cards you could cut, but I like it nevertheless. It's really good going second, and it's a pretty good top deck mid-game. And 1 Upstart Goblin. We're pretty much playing the 39 best cards in the deck and then one of these. Alright, for traps, of course, we have our Paleozoics. 3 Dynamiscus. We are playing 3 Morella. Some people only play 2. But I personally really like it, especially in situations where you don't have very many Paleozoics and you kind of only have this one, so you can dump a second Paleozoic, or you can dump Breakthrough Skill, which is really good in some matchups. You have 3 Canadia, of course. I prefer Dynamiscus, but this is another great card that kind of deals with similar issues. 3 Olenoidus. Of course, this is your trap MST. It's really good against Pendulum Magicians and just all kinds of things. The Mirror, etc. We are playing 3 Reckless Greed, going into the non-Paleozoic traps. It's just a really good draw engine, gets you more cards, and it's a normal trap, so yeah. I don't think there's much else that needs to be said. Pretty staple. We are playing the 4 Solemns, 1 Warning, 3 Strike. I think this is pretty much standard in Paleo. I wouldn't play any less than this. And we have 2 Storming Mirror Force, so you can also play regular Mirror Force or Quaking. Personally, I prefer this going into this format, but I think Quaking is also viable to clog up the extra monster zone. We are playing 1 Torrential Tribute, 1 Imperial Order, and 1 Breakthrough Skill. I think Torrential Tribute is just a good going first disruption card. A lot of decks don't really play it anymore, but I feel like in Paleo it's fairly strong. Imperial Order is an instant win against a lot of decks, and Breakthrough Skill is just a card that can be dumped with Morella, and it really helps in some matchups where you otherwise wouldn't have an out to a monster. Going into the extra deck, we are playing not 1, not 2, but 3. Totally awesome. It's the best extra deck monster by far. It's what makes this deck good. So we're playing 3 of it. We are playing 2 Opabinia. This is one of the other really good extra deck cards you have. Searches a Paleo. You can use Paleos from hand, or all traps from hand anyway. And it's just a solid card. Kind of the same with Anomalocaris. It's just a solid card. It requires 3 materials though, so you don't always go into it. That's why we're only playing 1. So far everything's very standard. Continuing that trend, we have Crumble Logos. Just negates face-ups like Royal Decree. Cat Shark gives totally awesome attack points. Daigusto Phoenix, OTKs, it's 3,000 damage. And Sky Cavalry is a fairly good stall card, and it's an out to some things. We are playing 1, 2, 3 Mistar Boy. This is the Water Link. It's very, very good. It gives you access to multiple Xyz in the deck. I would not play any less than 3. You might be able to get away with 2, depending on your extra deck, but, you know. And then we have Ghost Reaper targets. Dragonbuster Minerva. One of these is probably going to be double Helix. I mean, between this and probably a spot in the side, we're going to have, you know, all the targets. But I think just using some of the main space is just nice so that you have more spots for a larger variety of side deck cards. Now, for the side deck, we are going with 1, 2 Chaos Trap Hole. This is something I'm not totally sold on, but I have liked it. It's good in a lot of matchups, including Spirals, and to some degree Pendulum Magicians, Cosmo, ABC, Zombie Lightsworn. So actually quite a few matchups, and it gets rid of Danko. So I'm not totally sold on it, but it's a decent side in. We are playing 3 Unending Nightmare. I slightly prefer this over Anti-Spell Fragrance because it really, really sucks to top deck Pot of Desires or Upstart and not being able to play it that turn. And I think it does essentially the same thing. 2-Dimensional Barrier. This card's still pretty good. It's good against decks that like to Xyz a lot or Pendulum Summon. We have 2 System Down. These are probably going to get cut for double Helix and something else, but I don't have a double Helix currently, so those are just in there for whatever. We have 3 Twin Twisters, and I kind of prefer these over Heavy Storm Duster because Heavy Storm Duster cannot out Royal Decree. That's kind of a concern for me. Also, if you're going second and say you have frogs in your hand, you'd rather pop first. So I think it's better in more scenarios. And of course, because we are playing extra deck monsters that have nothing to do with Paleo, we are playing 3 Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. I love this card. I think in Paleo it's better than Ghost Ash or Ghost Ogre. I definitely recommend you try it out. Alright, so that was our janky Paleo deck profile. We did it reasonably fast. Some people really stretch them out to like 20 minutes. I think we're going to keep it under 9. So, yeah, give your opinion on this deck profile in the comment section below. What are your techs in Paleo, etc.? And I think that'll be it for me. So, I'll see you guys later.